This is the second video of A Path to Enlightenment, how to do affirmations. So here we go. First suggestion would be to get a little booklet and a pen and to put it in your pocket and to write down things that seem that you want or want to become. One of the first steps that I learned that helped me with spirituality was affirmations. Therefore, in this first part, I'm going to suggest that one cultivates how to do affirmations. There are several keys to writing a good affirmation. The first one is remembering to always be positive. There should be no negative words or actions written in affirmations, and they should reflect a sense of hope, faith, or something that is not yet achieved, but something that one wants to achieve or become. A man is free to rise as far as he's willing and able, but it is only the degree to which he thinks that determines the degree to which he'll rise. Be positive. It's a higher degree than negative. We must learn to cultivate a positive attitude. That way we can rise to higher degrees. Second is to have faith or knowing that the affirmation will eventually take hold in the subconscious mind, therefore recreating one's perceptions of reality. There's a law in psychology that states if we form a picture in our minds and hold it there long enough, we will soon become, or eventually become, what we think about. The eventually part means that the affirmations will settle into the subconscious mind, thereby making it a part of our intuitive belief system. With these tests that are it's reliable and there's the validity, psychology backs it up. We can bring faith to what is going to happen, and once the first affirmations take hold, we then form this knowing that affirmations are key to creating or recreating one's perceptions in reality. The third is to understand that the law of flotation was not discovered by the contemplating of thinking of things, or one cannot discover the light by analyzing the darkness. This means that we cannot get what we want by thinking about things that we don't want, because the more that we think about the things that we don't want, the more we get what we don't want. If one thinks that they can never do something, do you think that they will be able to do it? If one thinks that they can never be something, do you think that they'll be able to be it? We must focus on the light, not on the darkness. If we stay focused on the darkness, we will never find the light. Therefore, a task in writing an affirmation should be to stay focused on what one wants and desires and not on what one doesn't want and doesn't desire. By passionately believing in that which does not exist, we create it. And that which does not exist has not been sufficiently desired. We must passionately believe in that which we want to create in our lives, not on the things that we don't want to create, because it works both ways. By believing in that which we don't want, we create what we don't want in our lives. Again, we cannot discover the light by analyzing the darkness. Fourth, emotion and imagination should also be added to every affirmation, as much emotion and imagination as possible. Imagination consists of using our five senses, which gives it more life and vividness. The affirmation becomes more prominent in our mind. Um, but create an affirmation and imagine it with any of the senses, and then imagine it with all the senses, and one will quickly find out that with the senses, the image becomes more vivid and real-like. Just as much as our senses make an affirmation more prominent in our mind, so does emotion. Um, that is added to an affirmation by feeling the affirmation. This makes it become more alive and more real. This can be accomplished by imagination uh, and emotion, by imagining the emotion, and also by emphasizing each word individually gives the affirmation more emotion. So we can make an affirmation that says, I want to feel good. And first we would emphasize the word I, and then we would emphasize the word want, and then the word to, and then feel, and then good. And stronger emotions are created each time a different word is emphasized in an affirmation. Without emotion and imagination, the affirmation is not as effective. These are two great factors in doing an affirmation that can make it very effective. Fifth, the more frequency, duration, and intensity of stimulation, the quicker an affirmation will take effect. It is about self discipline and creating habits from our affirmations. The more discipline we have, frequency and duration, and the more intensity we have, emotions and imagination, the more affirmations become a habit and have a chance to settle into our subconscious mind. I cannot stress this enough, people. We must make affirmations a daily practice, or a habit through frequency of doing it. The more we put in, the more that it'll come out. Or said another way, we must deposit before we can make a withdraw. The more we deposit, the more we can withdraw. Excellence is something that we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, but a habit. By cultivating good habits, affirmations being one of them, we become excellent in those good habits. We could also say that the longer we do our affirmations, the more intensity we put into it with imagination and emotion, the more the habit is strengthened. Making affirmations a habit is in one's life is necessary if one wants to reap the benefits from it. Sixth. Okay, so now we're on the sixth principle. Um, we should focus on what one wants. Our affirmation should focus on what one is for. Okay, so instead of what one is against. For example, Mother Teresa was asked if she would attend a rally against war, and she said, "No, I will not attend a rally against war, but if you have a rally for peace, I will come." Another example would be to create an affirmation that says, I am not a smoker. Instead, one should create an affirmation that says, I am healthy. By taking the smoker um, out of the equation, by stating I am healthy, focuses on what one is for, being healthy, instead of what one is against, smoking. There are many times when I go back through my affirmations and find where I was against something and not for something. When I notice it, I quickly change the affirmation and replace it with something that I am for, plain and simple, instead of being what I'm against. It's a very important idea when creating affirmations. We don't want to be unhealthy. We want to be healthy. That's what we want. The final suggestion for creating affirmations has to do with implementing the affirmations. I hear, I forget. I see, I remember. I do, I understand. So one must act as if what one is thinking is already here. Tell yourself, I know it, I desire it, it's on its way, nothing can stop it, and I'm not going to be upset about it. By saying this, one lets go of the outcome and cultivates an infinite patience. Since we know that affirmations work and that eventually what we think about is what we become, there's no reason to be frustrated or upset about not coming, it not coming, because we have this knowing that it is going to come. This result, this is the result from knowing that it's on its way. And with this knowing, there is something that we cannot, or there's really nothing that we cannot create in our lives. Uh, One will start to discover that they have the potential within themselves to create anything that they wish to desire or to be or to have in their lives. There's no difference between what the brain imagines and what takes place in the physical world in our minds. The scientists have discovered that the same parts of our brain light up when imagining an act or doing the same act. There is no difference in brain activity. By understanding this, we understand that what we create in our mind is an exact replica in the mind as if we were actually doing the act. So thinking is not just thinking, thinking is actually doing. When we understand that in the mind there is no difference between thinking and doing. If we close our eyes and imagine doing some sport and then actually do it and go out and do it, the same part of the brain light up. Um, so no one can actually, or so someone can actually practice a sport by sitting down and imagining doing a sport and physically doing nothing. The crazy part this exercise is that when this is done in actual life, that people that imagined it do just as good, if not better, than the people who physically practice the sport. And this is science, people. Okay? Um, Everything happens in the conscious world first, and then in the physical. Thoughts are an ancestor to every action. It is the world of thought that comes first, and then the physical. What we think about creates our intentions towards something that we desire. The intentions allow our thoughts to manifest into the physical. So, by creating affirmations of what we want in our lives, we are subconsciously creating intentions toward what it is that we want. We could actually say that our intentions are a movement of the subconscious mind towards the physical manifestation of what we think about or desire. Eventually, we will act our intentions outward, thereby creating what it is that we desire. When we actually when the actual manifestation of the affirmation takes place in the physical world, we can safely say that what we think changes our reality. Not only what we think about the world, but also what manifests into our lives. We have the ability within ourselves to change the way that we think about things, and when we change the way we think about things, the things that we think about change, physically and in our beliefs, through the process of intention. Affirmations are not about finding oneself, but about creating oneself. By understanding the process and implementing it, we can truly discover some of our potential. The potentiality that we discover allows us to create anything that we want into ourselves and into our lives. One is constantly creating and recreating new and better affirmations, which creates and recreates new and better self. The possibilities are endless. Uh, we only need to imagine and focus, and we can become all that we are destined to become. Maslow said a self actualized person can only be what they can be. What this means is that when a person reaches his highest potential, he can only be everything that he can be. The affirmations are a part of the self actualization process. You owe it to yourself to realize some of your potential through affirmations and to become everything that you can be. You owe it to yourself, guys. You are worthy, you are magnificent, you are a genius, but only you can find the potential that waits to grow. Within every acorn, there's a potential of a forest, and that potentiality lies in you. Sunlight was not created by moving away the clouds, it merely reveals what was hidden the whole time. Move away the clouds and find the potential that is hidden within you. Find your potential so that you can create the dreams you are destined to live. There is no other finer way to live or die. And this is the end of video 2, how to create affirmations. Again, get a pad and a piece of paper, write down the things that you hear here. Memorize them, say them every day, create a habit. Do it for yourself. It works for me, and I know, and I am positive, through self-discipline and self-restraint, you can do it too. Namaste.